You don't know this, but when you were in the WWF, I was in the front row.
So it's actually the Quebecers' first WWF Tag Team Championship victory against the Steiners at the Manhattan Center.
There's me.
Right here, this large piece of hair right here is the Queen of Extreme.
That's my 80s hairdo. Oh my God. I was having, and it's so great because little did I know that we would be able to work together years later. You don't know this, but when you were in the WWF,
Yeah.
I was in the front row.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if this is the match where I actually won a contest, because back then, before I even got into wrestling, I won a contest by sending in a postcard to a channel. It was called the Video Jukebox Channel, and they were having their WrestleMania CD launch.
Okay.
So they flew me to New York, and I'm in the front row, and you come out with Johnny Polo.
Yeah.
And we have footage, or we have a picture.
So it's actually the Quebecers' first WWF Tag Team Championship victory against the Steiners at the Manhattan Center. So I pulled up a screen grab right here where you have Scott Steiner there on the run. So if you can see,
there's me
right here. This large piece of hair right here is the Queen of Extreme.
That's my 80s hairdo, or my 90s hairdo. Yep, there's me.
Yeah, 1993.
Unbelievable.
Look at that. Look at the air. She's so impressed by you, Carl. There you go.
I was having, and it's so great because little did I know that we would be able to work together years later.
Did you know it was me, actually? Did you, like, because, I transformed so much over the time of different characters and things like that. So did you know it's the same guy that you saw on Raw?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for sure I did.
Okay.
Yeah, because I studied, like, when I started working, because I wasn't working at this point. I think this was in like September, you said? I started training in December.
Yeah.
So a couple months later is when I started to train. But when I started training, the boys told me you have to go back and study tapes and watch things and this and that. So I was a big WWF fan, but I started watching everything at that point just to learn.
Yeah.
But then I said, when you came in the ECW, I was like, oh my God, I remember when even before I was in the business, sitting in the front row and seeing you work with Raven. Johnny Polo, who is Raven, and he's another one that I worked. It's just so weird that I get to work with all these people that I used to be fans of. So
yeah.
So when did you actually start your career? What year was it?
A long time ago.
I
was 16.
16.
So, I probably started around 1986. Something like that.
So you're still in school at this point, or did you?
Yeah. I was in school. Probably my last year of school. I'm not sure. I maybe that was just the end of high school, and then I went that summer. But I remember at high school, like my last year or the year before my last year, I had to do a French piece of theater, and my whole thing with my friends was all about commentators and wrestling match. And I've got footage that I don't have it with me there now, but I still have that. And I was Hulk Hogan, and the other kid was like his name was Pierre Martel, so he was Rick Martel. And we did the holds and everything without. I hadn't been to a wrestling school yet. I kind of knew the business without knowing it at a young age.
From watching?
Yeah.
From watching?
Yeah, just watching for a long time, yeah. So
did you know that you wanted to be a professional wrestler like your whole life?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Because I had an accident in my eye, because it was between hockey and pro wrestling. I like really both equally. But when I had the accident to my right eye, then I knew right away that pro wrestling was my parents would ask me, I was like 13 or 14 because my eye accident happened at 12. And what do you want to be when you're grown up? And it was pro wrestler all the time.
All the time. We have a question. Kim, thank you for the super chat, by the way, sweetheart. Who inspired you to become a wrestler? This was supposed to be a super chat question. I got you, Kim. Yeah, who was your inspiration to get into professional wrestling?
Well, growing up as a kid, I had like a lot of kind of favorite superstars. So it was a little bit before WWF. It was the guys from my hometown, so it was a lot of the Dino Bravo, Rick Martel, the Road Warriors. They used to come in as outsiders, and they were big on me. King Tonga, Aku, yeah, that's the main guys that I was really watching or into them, like to their style or what.
King Tonga was huge up there before
Oh,
he made it in the States.
crazy huge. Yeah, one of the most over guys like here. Like and all those guys when they transferred, they all went to WWF. I mean, they were working the territory here, international wrestling. Uh, Even like the Road Warriors, but they were more WCW. But King Tonga and Bravo and Martel, the Rougeaus, Tom Zink, they all left almost in the same time. And then international wrestling kind of crumbled down after that.
So you trained in Canada.
Yeah, under Pat Gerard, which is a well-known coach. For a long time, I was hiding it because I thought that was like a kind of a rotten place. I mean, it was like a place that I thought that no one knew about it, and then found out that Pat Patterson got trained by this guy, and then a bunch of other big names got trained by him, and then I started to mention his name because he was quite well known, but. But when I sent my resume to WWF back in the days, it was always like Edouard Carpentier because he was one of my trainer. I did like a camp for 3 or 4 months with Edouard Carpentier, and then I put him up first, on top of the list as my coach because I knew he was well known, but I didn't know that Pat, the guy who really trained me first, was that known, from many top wrestlers back in the days.
Right. So you train there, you're 16 years old, you start training, and then how long before you make it to WWF?
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah, I was like 24. Yeah.
Okay.
Eight.
And you had a really good run.
Yeah, but I had a great run, but I really paid my dues like really hard. Like I did a lot of things throughout my career. Nothing came up. Nothing came like on a
Easy.
silver platter. It was never easy. Every good run that I had, I always had to um, take chance or sacrifice something or put everything on the line or gamble everything. Not in the sense of gambling money or things like that, but quitting jobs or whatever. I had to gamble on myself, to really make it. Like before I went to Calgary, like like after I did my training in Montreal, like they would only use me for like extra, so here back home. So it was impossible to get like a real full-time job almost. So I went to Calgary and then I got rejected there. And then I went to the Maritimes and then I was not good enough. I got kind of canned out, after a month or a month and a half. So, and then I had another break to go to England. And then that's really when I started to make waves and things were going right. And then from England to South Africa to Germany and then to the big time that 1992 was CWA. Probably heard of that because a lot of the guys back then, like one of the pit bulls was there, Larry Cameron was there. A lot of the guys were coming up there in Germany for CWA. Rhino was one of them.
Okay.
They're tag team champions together over there, and Big Van Vader, a lot of big names. So, because the last day of the tour was Bremen, and it was in front of 15,000 people. It would bring up big names.
Yeah.
So basically, Germany was like probably like Hamburg was 60 days working every night in the same building. And Bremen was like 30 days and 30 days. And then Austria, like I never did Austria, but I started the 2 German town. And then I was re-signed for 93. But then I went to Puerto Rico, and then that's when I got up my break with WWF.
And I always ask this to people. I get this question a lot. Was your time there, because you said it never came easy. It wasn't on a silver platter. You paid your dues, obviously. Your time in WWF, were you happy working in that company? I mean, you were there for quite a while.
Yeah. I thought, in my mind, I was always a WWF guy.
Yeah.
But more than a WCW. Like, I was like an up north guy. Like, I thought I'd always really fit that company. To me, it felt like at home. It felt good. Yeah, I was happy there.
Okay. Okay, good to know.
Made a lot of great friends too.
Right. Yeah, for me, that's the most important part, is the friendships that last afterwards. Hey there, it is the Queen of Extreme, Francine from ECW. Do you want to see more of me? Click over here to watch another video, or click over here to listen to my podcast. And as always, thank you for your support.